In the world, we have this saying, forgive and forget. I've already explained multiple times on this channel why forgive and forget is not biblical. I also explained why it's not even biologically sound to forgive and forget. In this video, I want to look at why society tells you to forgive and forget. And it's very simple. Society does not want to be responsible for what they allow to happen to you. Society does not want to take charge of its own failures. Society, just like a malignant narcissist, always blames the victim. Let me give an example. Let's say you grew up in a household where the father was completely out of line. He was alcoholic, he was beating your mother, and he was also screaming a lot and all of that. Now, you may think, well, that was just my mother who stayed with him, my mother should have left. Okay, that's maybe correct, but hold on a minute. Where did your parents go to say I do? They filed for a marriage license, right? And they signed it. They went to a church or some other place to have the ceremony. So society agreed to their union. And while your parents remained married and it was toxic, your father had a job, your mother had relatives, so the community was involved. If the community saw that things got out of hand, why did they not intervene? But hold on a minute. When you were 15 and you had your rebellious tantrums, people told you that you need to behave, they were willing to put you in a youth prison, all of that, but why did you have those rebellious tantrums? Because on a psychological level, you realized how neglectful society was towards you, but how hypocritical society was at the same time to expect you to conform to all its demands. So you acted out against society. Now, actually, what you did was correct, because nobody should expect things from you unconditionally without looking after you. After a while, you didn't want to go to youth prison, all of that, so you decided, you know what, I want to behave, I want to be a good kid. You did all of that, and you want to forget about it all. But look at this. You shouldn't forget about it. First thing first, you were endangered because society did not want to intervene. Because they had their so-called reasons. So they enabled your parents to harm you. Secondly, when you had that cry for help in a very rude way, they turned on you. They wanted to harm you because you gave a signal that you were neglected by the group. We wanted to put you away. Why would you forget about that? You shouldn't. That should be motivation for you to realize that this thing called society is BS and you should not have anything to do with it. But what happens often to people is that they forget the neglect of society and they focus only on the perpetrators who were involved. And by doing that, society leaves them alone and society gives them a pat on the back. What is wrong with this? What's wrong is that you keep yourself in a dangerous condition in which predators can exploit you. If you realize fully the monstrous act of society for demanding things from you while not caring about you at all, once you do that, society will lose its grip on you, and this is part of your deliverance. And when you are delivered, it will also have a good effect on others. So you owe it to yourself to see the truth and to process it. But what does society tell you? Forgive and forget. Look, only a predator who has a vested interest in keeping the truth hidden tells you to forgive and forget. I mean, don't just look at individual perpetrators. Look at the group. Where did those perpetrators come from? From the group. So if they were out of line, the group should have noticed something. So allow them to remain out of line, the group. So the group is also responsible for what they did. Why is it that if you are neglectful and someone else as a result is harmed, they blame you. But when it's you that's harmed as a result of the neglect of the group, now suddenly it's all on you. Believers, I'm telling you straight up over here, never forget the neglect of society. Never. Why? Because it's a pattern. Those same people that neglected you may not be around today, but all the other people who follow the same pattern, they have the same demons behind them. So if people in the past neglected you because they were loyal to society, they were actually loyal to demons. So that they enabled harm on you. If you don't forfeit your allegiance to society, those same demons can use other people who also follow those patterns to get a hold on you. So no, you should not forgive and forget. And here's another thing, your brain will not permit you to forgive and forget. Your brain, it doesn't matter how many years pass by, there comes a point that your brain will remind you of the bodily danger that you were in. And this is a good thing. In order to process the past, you must face it in the entirety, and you must be realistic about what happens. Just because what happened is a long time ago does not mean it can't have an impact on you today. Some of you, not all of you, but some of you almost died in the past, due to some violent act of someone else, or due to some perpetrator that was left on the loose. It's quite a big shock for your brain to process that you may not have been here today. Or some of you remember some threats that people issued to you in the past, maybe by one of your parents, or maybe by a school teacher or by a peer. And now that you're an adult and you have the mental capacity to process things, you think, what? You don't say something like that to someone just because you don't have your way, they need to watch out. Listen, believers, we cannot continue to teach darkness to people. Never teach anyone to forgive and forget. Teach them to process and move forward. That's the only way you'll be safe. Let me ask you a question. If you robbed a bank today, 10 years pass by, and now you want a bank account at that same bank, are they going to welcome you like a customer just like that? No. If you destroyed public property, like a statue in a place, and later you just want to purchase a house over there, do you think people are just going to simply say, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, come live with us and be very happy with you just like that? They may be, but if they later find out that it was you that destroyed that image years ago, even if the crime has expired and they got arrested for it, they'll still want an answer for it. And they still may demand informally that you contribute to the costs that were made. Nowhere in the world is forgive and forget practiced by institutions and by the leaders of the world, because they know better. Yeah, they teach you, especially if you follow Christ, forgive and forget, something that's unbiblical. If the world would forgive and forget, you wouldn't have prisons. If the world would forgive and forget, you would have child molesters teaching children in school. If the world would forgive and forget, we would have scam artists giving financial advice at banks. If the world would forgive and forget, you would have fake doctors performing operations on people. Do you see how dangerous it would be if the world would practice forgive and forget on a large scale? That is not the type of world you would want to live in. What if your daughter comes home one day, or your son of less than 8 years old, and they tell you that a teacher touched them in their private places, and later you find out that the school knew that the man had a history of touching children in an inappropriate way, but that they gave him the job anyway because they said the past is the past, people change, so they forgive and forget. Would you be happy with that? No. You could sue the whole school. Rightfully so. Look, I'm not saying people can't change for the better. They can, but not everyone changes for the better. Am I saying you should always use historical facts against people? No, absolutely not. If someone has really changed for the better, you don't bother with their past actions because they've changed for the better, for real. But if someone just wants relief and they don't want to consider justice, then you should use the past against them to keep them in check. Look, your intuition is quite strong, far stronger than your physical senses. If your intuition causes your brain to bring back certain memories that are painful, don't repress them. Pay attention to what your intuition is showing you. Because don't get this twisted. Some people may have issued threats against you in the past because they thought they could get away with harming you. But for some reason, they didn't act out completely because they didn't want to get in trouble. So that is what hinders them. Now, years, maybe decades later, they may still walk around with the opinion that they have the right to be negative against you. Now that they're older, they become worse. Now they're older, they may even have people that support them in their false claims. So if now they decide to unload, they will have a group of people to back them up, and they have more courage. Because the older people become in negativity, the worse off they'll be. So, pay close attention to your intuition. If needed, decree and declare repercussions on those who are invested in evil against you. I mean it. Loving your enemies and praying for those that despitefully use you is your attitude not to become bitter like them. But once those same people persist in evil and they persist in being a danger to you and to others, they need to be shut down. I'm not telling you to go and pray that they die or whatever. Just decree and declare repercussions against them so that there is safety for both you and the community. When people have persisted in injustice towards you, it is because they just want relief. They are not interested in justice whatsoever. Such people is repercussions that must haunt them. It's only repercussions that will shut them down. That's it for now. Keep on agreeing with Christ and be at peace.